Hi, today we're going to explore one of the many instructional design models that exist. Through research, I have decided to look at the Assure model. The Assure model has roots from the ADDIE model. This model focuses on utilizing a variety of media and materials in the planning and implementation of instruction. It's often used in designing e-learning courses. One important feature of this model is that it is focused on the learner. This model was developed by Robert Heinrich, Michael Melinda, James D. Russell, and Sharon Smaldino. It's also based on Robert Ganji's 9 events of instruction. The Assure model has 6 steps. 1 is A, analyze the learners. Step 2 is S, state the objectives. Step 3 is S, select media and materials. Step 4 is U, utilize media and materials. Step 5 is R, require learner participation. And step 6 is E, evaluate and revise. To understand the model, you must understand the importance and purpose for each step in order to make your lessons effective. So now we're going to look at each step. In the first step, A, analyze learners, you should analyze the learners. Focus on each of the learners' attributes and their characteristics as learners. Through good analysis, you'll be able to make decisions throughout the process of the model. This analysis will help you make choices on proper materials and media to help your students learn the objectives for the unit. This step will include learning information such as learners' age, gender, learning styles, preferences, and general academic abilities. Do they have prior knowledge of the topic? What are their motivations for learning? Using this step to understand how your student learns best will be imperative to making a well-designed instructional module. Which of your students are auditory learners? Who is a visual learner? Do you have any students who are kinesthetic learners? Thorough analysis in this step will help you identify each of your learners. Once you have analyzed your learners, you can begin to move to the second step. The second step is S, state objectives. In this step, you will develop objectives. As a result of instruction, your learner will accomplish the objectives you have set for the module. These objectives are the learning outcomes. Ask yourself, what will the student learn from this lesson? As you're developing objectives, you must state them in a specific manner. Being specific will help the learner understand what they are to accomplish. To write objectives in an effective manner, I encourage you to use the ABCD model. With this model in mind, your objective should have 4 parts: A, the audience; B, behavior; C, conditions; and D, the degree. You've analyzed your learners. You know who your audience is. You have an idea of what you want your learners to get out of the lesson, so you'll move to the third step. The third step to the Assure model is S, select media and materials. In this step, you'll select media and materials for your lesson or unit. You should connect your audience to the objectives. You'll need to decide on your methods of instruction. How do you want the information delivered? Will you have group discussions, lectures, videos? Decide which lessons will be instructor-centered, which ones will be student-centered. As our education system evolves, we want learning to be more learning-centered. Do you have any existing materials you used for previous lessons on this topic? Pull those out and begin modifying and adapting them now that you have analyzed your learners a bit more. Have you discovered your old materials aren't going to work for your audience? Begin designing new materials to help with the learning task. Now, think about technology that can be implemented into your lesson or unit. Will these be simplified technologies such as paper and pencil? Will the students use PowerPoint or an app on their classroom iPads? Whatever technology you choose to implement, make sure it is useful. After you have chosen the media and materials you want to use, now you should develop a plan to implement them. This plan will be done with the fourth step, which is U, utilize media and materials. Describe how your media and materials will be implemented to meet the lesson's objectives. Marina Arshavsky suggests piloting your materials and media to ensure they meet your objectives. With a pilot test, you will also be able to see if the course works how you want it to, and the learners can access all materials. After you have developed your plan for implementing your media and materials, you'll need to move to the next step. Step 5 is R, require learner participation. How are you going to get students actively involved in your lessons? Arshavsky suggests discussions, games, simulations, or assessments. Your learners should be able to apply their new knowledge and their understanding to the content through your activities. As an instructor, it is quite important to pay attention to your learners. Are they grasping the information? You should also provide the learner with feedback before they are evaluated. The final step of the Assure model is E, evaluate and revise. Were the objectives met? Was the media and material appropriate for your lessons? Did your teaching strategies work for your audience? Within this step, you will find out. Through a thorough evaluation, you will be able to edit your materials, objectives, and media. Also, examine feedback from your students. What was their experience like? Do they feel they met your objectives and expectations you set up for them? The Assure model is the best choice for my instructional needs and my proposed interactive learning module. One of the most important aspects of this model to me is that it is based on the idea that no one student acquires information in the same way. This model emphasizes the importance of analyzing your learners in your educational environment. As we move into adapting our lessons to better suit our 21st century learners, we have to move away from only using traditional instructional strategies. Lectures and textbooks are not the only means of having students learn. Standing in front of a classroom of students lined in desks staring blankly at you is not the best way to reach every learner. I feel this model gives me an opportunity to use technology and other forms of media to deliver instruction to all learners. After close analysis of my learners, I will be able to focus on developing quality objectives and lessons with their learning in mind. I will be able to take into account their characteristics such as age, sex, socioeconomic status, prior knowledge, and learning styles such as visual, musical, verbal, and tactile. It is well suited for my learning environment. One reason I feel it works for my learning environment is the fact that it is similar to a structure I am familiar with. This model does not require an instructor to have a deep understanding of instructional design. Because instructional design is something new for me, I think this will be a great model to begin with. I often find myself implementing media and technology. This structure will ensure that I think about how I am implementing specific media and technology. The Assure model is a good roadmap to help me organize my units. Although I am more experienced teacher, this will help me decide on my content, varying instructional strategies, and tools I use. Another reason it is suited for my learning environment is because I have students of different backgrounds, interests, and abilities. As I've stated previously, analysis of learners is important to this model. This model will help my learning environment because I will be able to help all students successfully learn through many teaching strategies. Exposing students to new strategies will also challenge them, but it is important they learn new skills using new methods. My instructional design model is about forming a new nation. Specifically, the students will focus on how the United States of America became a nation. This is a unit I have taught for several years. After learning more about the Assure model, I am confident that I will be able to make my unit stronger than ever. This model will greatly impact my instructional module design, the design process, content, and instructional activities. I've never taken the opportunity to analyze my learners in a lengthy manner to help me direct my teaching methods. This model reminds me of how important that step is when creating an instructional design model. Careful consideration of the objectives I want students to learn will impact my design process as well. Choosing appropriate materials, media, and technology will aid in my students' success and their understanding of the objectives throughout the unit. My instructional activities will not be limited to traditional teaching methods such as lecture. Instead, I'll be able to implement the use of our Bring Your Own Device policy. If students don't have devices, they'll be able to use school computers or tablets to use a variety of applications and programs throughout the unit. The students will have options on how they want to present their information. This will give students an opportunity to apply their knowledge using their preferred learning style. This model is an improvement over the process I have used in the past. In the past, I've implemented technology just to use it because that's exactly what the administration wanted. I didn't focus on why I used that technology. I didn't focus on whether or not it was the best piece of technology to use for learning the objective. I just used it. However, with the Assure model, I will be able to research and look at technology that will be effective in my teaching strategies. My students will understand why they are using the media, material, or technology. As an educator, I've always tried to differentiate my teaching. I've tried to consider that all of my students learn best in different ways. But with this model, I'll have a better idea of who each student is. In turn, I will be able to use teaching strategies to help each student become successful. Finally, this model has shown me the importance of being honest about revision. I must revise the unit at the end in order for it to be better. Taking feedback from students and looking at evaluations will aid me in reflection of my objectives, instructional strategies, materials, and assessments. An item of support that I found that might be of use to any of you considering the Assure model is a template. I found this template from the Professional Learning Library from Arizona State University website. I've included the link in my YouTube comments as well as on my Prezi. This template walks you through designing your lesson plan step by step. There are entry areas for all 6 steps. It gives you leading questions to ask yourself at each step when you're filling out the template. It will be useful to organize thoughts, objectives, learner information, media, technology, assessment, and evaluation. I plan to use this resource when designing my instructional design module.